since I have been live on the old internet, and there's a reason for it. I had an intention of sort of going live every single day, and there's an old saying that's you want to tell God a joke, tell him your plans, right? I ended up dealing with some other health issues that just didn't makes sense for me to try to do that. So, right, wrong, or indifferent, I took a break and I'm back now because I still like to do this. Believe it or not, weirdly enough, people do like to go live on the internet, I guess. Um, Nonetheless, what I want to talk about today is kind of an interesting thing. I have a coaching call that I do every Tuesday, and it's mainly around email marketing and other AI and other things that I do. It's a private group, but I had a situation yesterday where somebody was on and they just had some challenges they were dealing with in life, and there's something that Meg and I have constantly talked about, and that is how many people in our lives right now are dealing with this like seemingly higher level of drama than what we're typically accustomed to in our own lives. And we're not talking about it from a place of judgment, it's more of a place of curiosity, right? Of like and also gratitude, which I'll explain later. But I can't tell you. I mean, I know I've got people that are dealing with child custody issues that are friends of ours. I've got people that are dealing with crazy situations with child protective services that just make no sense. Um, people breaking up with each other. People that are sick, that have like real severe spinal kind of injuries and whatnot. People that are dealing with addiction issues, just the whole variety, and like it's just all happening and swirling around us. Somebody dealing with dementia, and just kind of wild and crazy, right? As we're not used to that level of intensity when it comes to the drama that we have in life. Meg and I don't, we have a great relationship. We don't really fight or disagree on too much, and if we do, we have a method of dealing with it that doesn't cause chaos in our lives, right? And we live a pretty quiet little life, so it's kind of like a culture shock for us to see all of this. And then I start dealing with some minor health issues, and I'll say minor because it's nothing compared to what a lot of people deal with, but it does affect me, right? It's not nothing. But I start dealing with that, and I'm like, wow, like it's funny how the world can give you perspective. And fortunately enough, we're in a place to be able to help support as much as we can for a lot of these people, mental, emotional support, and even helping out in certain other ways as we're able to, right? Um, but this got me thinking about something yesterday when I was on this coaching call, and I kind of went on a rant on it, and I started like rehashing so many old ideas that I used to talk about endlessly. Like I used to talk about them daily, right? And it just got me remembering of like, man, these things are so true, and it's so easy when there's chaos in life to slip into this hypnosis that life is just inherently difficult, or we can make these really solid kind of beliefs or decisions about life, and even worse about ourselves, right? That are negative in nature, that cause problems. We start to believe that we're not something that we once were. Your life starts to reflect that, right? So I figured I would just sort of summarize this little rant. I've spent 4 minutes setting it up, so I should probably get to it because I got a call I got to be on in 10 minutes, right? But here's the deal. I want to give you a quick perspective on this, and certainly this warrants a longer conversation for somebody to like get it and own it. But I at least want to start somewhere. And it starts with what happens the most. This is a frame that I like to look at for a lot of problems, is what happens the most, right? Because a lot of times when we're focused on a problem, we're talking about what happens the least, right? We have one big problem in our life that happens to affect a lot of things. It's actually, probably over the course of your life, it's pretty minor in the scale of like things that have happened, right? So what happens the most across your entire life is probably predominantly good things. You just have some not so good things sprinkled along the way. That seems to be true in my experience for most people. I'm not saying everybody, but most people. So when we look at it through this frame of what happens the most, you can start to parse things down. And here's the one thing that I can say that legitimately always happens the most. I think it's like the king of the things that happen the most, right? And what it is that today, for everybody that's able to watch this or hear this, or anybody that's alive today, with the exception of a small number of people, you're going to go to bed tonight, and for no reason of your own understanding, you're going to fall asleep, right? We could talk about science and all of the things around sleep, but the truth is nobody knows why they do it. They just do. They always have. It's an instinctual thing. You just go to sleep. Every animal does it. Every person does it. It just happens. And for no understanding of your own, for some reason, the next day you wake up. You just come back to life, and you're presented with a series of moments. We call it a day, right? You're presented with this new day. And it's just a series of moments. And here's the deal. This is what happens the most. You wake up that morning and you have the opportunity to do whatever you want to do with that day. Doesn't matter what circumstances you have going on. Doesn't matter what's what. You have full autonomy over what you decide to do with those series of moments. And here's the deal. If you quote unquote screw it up, what happens the most is that this whole cycle happens again tomorrow, and you can do something to fix it, right? And if it's bad for some reason today, this whole cycle happens again, and you have a chance to shift it, right? There's always this new opportunity because it's what happens the most. In fact, it happens the most so much that it is relentless to the point that it happens every single day of your life except for one. And on that day, we don't know exactly what happens. We got faith to guide us through that. But every other single day of your life, guess what? You go through this cycle for no reason of your own understanding. You fall asleep for no reason of your own understanding. You wake up and you get to do whatever it is that you want to do. And here's the bottom line truth on all of it. No matter what you have going on, no matter how severe we can take this, if I don't care if you got something cranked to 11 in terms of your drama and ridiculousness, nothing in your life can ever be worse than the idea that tonight you're going to go to bed and tomorrow you're going to wake up and have a new opportunity to handle it in a new way if you want to. It's the worst that life gets. That is as bad as it gets, is that we wake up tomorrow with new opportunity. Like, if you really wrap your head around that, that's what happens the most. That's how crazy this actually is. So when we start to look at what happens the most and we start to look at our drama, you can start to look at things a little bit differently. And I have kind of a weird way of characterizing this, and it's I kind of say it in a way that makes people scratch their head, and it's that life is just going down to the mailbox. That's all life is if you want it to be, right? And what do I mean by that? Well, here's the deal. Nobody looks at the mailman like he's a jerk, or mail lady like they're some kind of maniacal monster, right? But here's the deal. You have somebody that literally, mail gets sent across the land, right? It flies in planes and it gets loaded in trucks and it's sorted at this local post office. There's people working right now to make sure you get your mail, and then they throw it in a car, they drive it around, and after all of that travel and all that time, instead of pulling up to your front door and dropping that mail off, they throw it in a box at the end of the road. So no matter what, you still have to go down there and get it. Like, what kind of jerk situation is this? Like, you were right here. You couldn't just pull up and toss it on the porch? Like, what are you doing? Right? Nobody actually looks at it that way. Nobody tries to characterize the mail people as bad people, because guess what? No matter how much of an inconvenience it is to walk down to the mailbox, you'd rather have it there than nowhere at all, right? And my point here is that we choose what we make a big deal out of. We decide whether it's a problem. The other way I characterize this is, in America, I know there's a lot of people internationally sometimes that see this, but in America we have Thanksgiving. Let me tell you how Thanksgiving goes, right? Probably similar to other holiday dinners in other countries. We'll forego the whole idea of how all of the food gets to the store. We'll just talk about going to the store. So you have to sit down and write a list of all the food that you want. You have to go to the store, grab a cart, and walk around this giant complex to find all the perfect right ingredients and go, oh, Uncle Jimmy doesn't like this brand. I guess I should get this brand, and make all these decisions in there, right? Put it all in a cart. We have to go take it out of a cart to put it on a conveyor belt so somebody can check it out, charge us a whole bunch of money for it. And we're not done yet. We got to put it all in bags, put this stuff in the car, and make sure that we have enough time to get it back to a temperature controlled environment to make sure that the food doesn't spoil all, so we can at one point in time take it all out of that environment, strategically prepare all of the food so it gets cooked and it's all warm at the same time, while dealing with all of the chaos of family moving around and all the jokes that are flying and accusations and weird tensions that family has. And then that all gets put on the table, right? It's moved to a dish now. And then it's not enough for it to be on the table. You have to move it off of a plate onto your plate, and then you have to stick it in your mouth hole, right? Then you got to chew this stuff up and swallow it. You have to do it over and over and over again till your plate's clean. And then you have to get a second plate because grandma's going to pressure you to do it, right? It's pure freaking chaos. But nobody looks at that and says, that's absolute chaos and insanity. We're not going to do it. In fact, they look at it as a reason to be joyful, as a reason to be grateful and thankful that we have all of these things. They don't see the problem in it. They see the fact that it's actually fantastic, right? And the point is that we get the opportunity to see our lives that way as much and as often as we want to, no matter what the situation is. And as long as you're willing to reach for a little bit of gratitude, you probably find it. And as long as you reach for a little bit of perspective, you probably find it. So no matter what you got going on, I certainly hope that it's not as severe as it is for, as it could be. I certainly want everybody to be well, but here's the deal. Life isn't that simple. And the one thing that you always have is a choice of how you approach it. And if you can reach for that choice, you'll probably find a little bit of it. And if you can do a little bit more the next day, and a little bit more the next day, and a little bit more the next day, you're going to find yourself where these problems that were once the biggest maniacal things in your life end up being one of the greatest blessings you ever had, because you learned part of yourself and you found part of yourself that you might not have known existed without it. Or at the very least, you remembered that you forgot it. And now that you remember you forgot it, you can do something about it. So that is a very important 2mm shift. I hope you have a fantastic day. I have to go get on another call. Let me know what you think down below, and we'll look forward to talking to you again soon. Appreciate you.